Good evening. This is Ronald Allen, managing change through effective communications. Once again, I am out at one of my favorite locations, White Bogs Blueberry Farm, as you can see. But I have a little bonus for those who are watching real time. Do you see my fellow herrings? And you might even see my dragonfly right there. Yep. But the herrings especially are a sign of the health of any aquatic environment. And I'm hoping you just saw one. He's going for another one. Yep, he's grabbing his evening supper. And those dark creatures that you see, those dark objects, are both ducks, mallard ducks, I believe, and maybe one or two geese. So, what has that got to do with today's topic? Deciding to be you, deciding that, not that you're enough, because I think that precludes discovery and exploration of what you would like to do, what you can engage in, and certainly what you can develop in yourself as you go through life. Psychologists will tell us that there are multiple personalities. We have multiple personalities. And in so, we should cultivate them one at a time, perhaps in sequence, perhaps maybe one that complements another. But we should take full advantage of how we can enjoy deciding to be yourself. So it's one of exploration. And in both in mentoring and coaching, one more of a professional environment, we are definitely trying to identify strengths that we have, strengths that we like to cultivate. And so, just as these guys, right, they're stealthily watching for their fish, their supper, we should be doing the same thing. So how do we do that? How do we go about doing some of that discovery? Well, you may have heard of the expression, sometimes there's pain of love, and then there's pain of growth. And certainly, the pain of growth is one that we begin to realize the status quo, the situation we're in, the environment that we happen to be experiencing is not one that's conducive, not one that we wish to remain in. The challenge then becomes, do we have the attitude? Do we have the resources? Do we have the knowledge? Most importantly, do we have the social support, even if it's just your mate? And as you know, it could be a dog, cat, bird, even a fish. and I say that tongue-in-cheek, yet in reality, are we learning from these engagements, from these relationships? We know through research, study, and just having and breeding dogs, for example, they can be the greatest of companions. If we listen a little closer, they will teach us things about themselves, their needs and wants, and also ourselves, how we engage. Cats are the same way. Now, some people have said to me, well, Ron, it's a little extreme. Excuse me, that was a little hair on the camera. That's a little extreme. Not really. Not when you look at healthcare providers, those who have wellness dogs, obviously, and more well-known, are sightseeing dogs. Well, if we take that same attitude of discovery, that same approach to looking at things in a different manner, then perhaps we'll also have and build courage to say to ourselves, my interests can and is of interest to others in a community, and we'll then go out and seek them. We'll go out and find them, right? Instead of building a cocoon of doubt, building silos of individual pain, instead of saying, well, I'm not that effective. You're not trying to join the majority of people. In fact, I dare say that you're on a discovery of how you can better manage yourself. Not even looking for other people. Not even saying, well, if I don't get so many people to work and join, or even if it's a club, if it's a social community organization, if it's a wellness group, I'm not even looking for that at the outset. I'm not even looking for that. What I'm looking for is, am I listening to how my body, my mind, my conscious and subconscious is behaving? So when I wake up in the morning, am I anxious? What does that tell me? When I go to work, whatever job I currently hold, am I inspirational? Am I giving in a way that is natural? You know, I have a workshop called What Are You Naturally Drawn To? And it's a series of discovery steps that the individuals take and bounce off others. Yet the caveat here is, I want the others to make the person question their belief in themselves. Because once you hold that, we call it self-efficacy, once you hold that within yourself, you are much more capable of dealing with life's challenges, changes, and even with those intimate relationships, you can explain to your mate how and why you feel. Of course, the why is very, very crucial and important. So, deciding to be you. It is not a template of these are the steps you take. Rather, it's listening to yourself, seeking out resources, looking for methods and modalities that can begin to support that movement towards your goal. Once you start getting pushback, now you must take the physical action. As you know, we all can speak, but unless you're doing it. Now, here is my little litmus test. And you know how I always talk about we can take theory and philosophy, and yet until it's applied in our life, it just remains as that, right? Theory and philosophy is absolutely crucial. The rubber meeting the road is when we take that theory and philosophy and we actually apply it. So, for example, the last couple of months I was off the air. I was going through some challenges personally, and I didn't feel I could contribute. Once I started engaging this process of simply saying, wait a minute, what is it that I'm experiencing? What is it that I am in need of, right? I then found out that just by taking small steps during the day, such as waking up in the morning and instead of having coffee, squeezing lemon and lime, adding some ginger, boiling it, and adding a little honey or sugar. Now you might simply say, well, that's really not that significant. Well, it is, because in many ways, certainly with the health of the body, the cleansing of mucus through the nose, the mouth, the throat, and then, most importantly, we all know, coffee has to be followed by more coffee. In other words, you are artificially stimulating the body. Lemon and lime and ginger doesn't work that way. So I've been doing that for like 10 days. That also supported my engagement, I call it engagement, of juicing. At my age, I have energy even at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it is the little things. What else? I chose to go back and start writing my diary. Why? Because I'm writing down how I feel at certain points during the day. And if I take notice of that, I start to realize that, you know what? Maybe I don't want to be in these certain places at these certain times. Maybe I need to put more energy, more resources, action in a different area. And then I go about physically doing that. I go about physically seeking it out. So it's not a program that says, follow steps A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. After all, life doesn't come at us in that fashion, does it? And if it does for you, you're one heck of a lucky person. Right? So I'm not trying to duplicate an academic program. I'm seeking out and listening to my emotional state. I'm then acting and being willing to adjust and change, give myself that flexibility, and then reward myself. So, for example, I give myself a little gelati every Friday now, right? It's a $3 gelati, but the ice cream, mango, ice, thank you very much, and some more ice cream and cream on the top. And I'll come out here, right? Look at this. This is absolutely gorgeous. This is my heaven. I'll come out here and I will see such incredible beauty, right? And I'll just reward myself. So in some cases, when we talk about personal and professional development, yes, much of it may be academic and professional. What I've noticed and what I believe is really the engine, the source, the juice, is what we put in place that reinforces our perspectives, and then recognizing the feeling that we get from that, right? So we can talk about cognitive theory, we can talk about behavioral sciences, we can talk about even neuro-linguistic programming, and then we turn it to our advantage, okay? We turn it to our advantage. It takes time. It takes a willingness. It demands that we feel a certain level of uncomfort in order to grow. Nature shows us that uncategorically, right? Everything that matures and grows, trees, slugs, right? Butterflies, they become, pupa, snail, butterfly. All of this transition, we call it transformation. It's not just pleasant. In most cases, it's not. It's painful. We are birthed in pain. Yet, we're asked to suppress that very natural behavior. We cry as babies for food, for cleaning, and for attention. Yet, as we get older, we suppress that which is natural. We expect to go into a company, a non-entity, and for those who are not familiar with that term, just a made-up business, which they are. They come and they go. And we put all this physical and mental energy into them, and yet when it comes time for ourselves, we're kind of perplexed. How do we do it? Where do we go? Who is there to help us? Do you think they'll help us? I don't think so. We want too much. We're too needy. We've got all this doubt. Same thing with the concept of joyous conversation as opposed to abusive conversation. Even in foreign languages, someone learning English, we learn Chinese, Cantonese, we learn Hindu, we learn German. We always learn the negative. We have been programmed. We are being programmed, and then we program for long term ourselves in that same negative behavior. Right? So when we talk about deciding to be ourselves, it's a journey that we will recognize, yes, we are beginning to search what we want for ourselves. We are deciding that our current status quo is not what we want. And then we decide where can we get the right resources who are not going to be judgmental. And even when we talk about solution-focused therapy, very powerful stuff. We talk about strategic interventions where we're moving the person to where they want to go. And with the caveat that, with the understanding that even if you find it uncomfortable, even if you find that, well, maybe that's not where I want to be, you have at least learnt to manage yourself, manage your state, act upon your beliefs instead of group think, instead of societal pressures. As we get older, we do seem to refrain from wanting or needing to please others. I think the delicate balance is being respectful of yourself first, being mindful, situational intelligence, of the environment and the communities and the people that we engage with. And thirdly, looking for collaborative, mutually beneficial outcomes so that our behavior achieves the outcome and not just a route or robotic set of actions that we believe in our heads, our perspectives is, well, this is what it will produce. We don't know because the dynamics of that engagement, right? When you play with a dog or a cat, it's not just being a dog or a cat that's going to give you the response. It's the temperament of that dog and cat. Same thing with humans. Just because you have twins, does it mean they want to dress up the same? Husbands and wives, does it mean they want to do what the other wants to do at the same time? The difference there is, as mature beings, elevated species, we willingly, because we wish to please that person, and the strength of that comes when the other person says, hey, that's a really nice feature or characteristic. I want to please you. As long as it's healthy, as long as it's supportive, and as long as both still remain individuals. So I know I've said quite a bit there. I have a lot of emotion about this because, as I said, over the last 3 months, I've been significantly challenged, I believe, and I stayed away. What I've learned from that, which is probably the key point of this, is that we can decide to be ourselves, express ourselves in a mature manner, a respectable manner, and look for feedback. Let's agree to disagree. Let's not be friends, rather, let's learn to understand one another, which takes more effort, which means we are truly committed to any form of relationship. So, this is Ronald Allen, Managing Change Through Effective Communications. Please check out the website. We're putting up a lot of my material. You know, I think it was Christmas. Everything crashed. I was totally out, wiped out. I mean, everything was wiped out. And it's taken me this much time with life and everything else to get back on track. That, by the way, is also deciding to be yourself. Not being cast down or feeling that you can't rise back up. The experience itself is what gives you strength. The experience itself is what tells you who and what you're made of, who you are and what you're made of. Don't be afraid of the down times. Don't be afraid when life turns you 180, right? Turns you on your side. I say, ass facing forward. Because that's how it feels, guys. That's how it feels, right? So you come back, you recalibrate, you re-coordinate yourself, you identify with people that you feel are the right match, and in that process, you will identify an incredible internal strength that it doesn't require external confirmations, because in some cases they can be detrimental. Check out the website ronaldmallen.com. We have the online course now with Udemy, over 103 attending that course. We have the 2 books, Life Cycles and A Fearless Guide to Better Decision Making. My 3rd book, 13 Steps to Positive Change, will be out, I'm trusting, by September. We got to push that. And then my 4th book, 13 Behavioral Gambits. This one, I like it. I love it because it's really strategy that you take from words, execute on a daily basis, test, as we always say, litmus test from the response from life, from the people around you, from how you engage in life, and then you readjust. So it's a constant learning process. Unfortunately, so many of us have dumbed ourselves down that we get to certain stages and age in life that we think our value is now used up. Totally wrong. The brain does not know how old it is. We must stop telling our minds how old we are. Okay? We don't know how long we have, so I say go out there and keep learning, keep engaging, testing, validating, and enjoy. Check us out on the sites. Love to hear from you guys. Thank you again. Anne, James, Craig, always supporting there. George, really appreciate you checking in. This is White Bugs Blueberry Farm. Just let you see. This is my think tank. Take care, guys. You know where to find me.